Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe if you'd like. Today we're going to be talking about perhaps the hottest topic rather of the weekend. Shedeur Sanders of the Colorado Buffaloes, also known as legendary son of Deion, or one of three sons of Deion Sanders, was finally drafted in the fifth round at the 144th pick to the Cleveland Browns. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with football, with the NFL, with whatever is going on in sports, the reason this has been such a hot topic is because Shedeur Sanders was slated to be at least top five to pick. I think when he was actually up for the draft, he was at number 20. But throughout the entire last college football season, which spanned from, what was it? I think August 2024. They just wrapped up a couple of months ago this year in 2025. And Shedeur has been preparing for the draft. NFL analyst, sports analyst, media, host, content, podcasters. Everyone was thinking that he would definitely go within the first round because of the stats that he put up for his previous year. Now, that did not happen. Probably within the past couple of weeks or so, there have been a lot of commentaries and anonymous sources that have been coming out saying that Shedeur gave the worst interview. He's cocky, he's brash, he's arrogant, he's entitled. And of course, these are anonymous sources, so we can't, pin, these comments on anybody, which is unfortunate. But it really just brought his draft stock down. But people were still thinking he would go, probably, late first round. But as the draft began, he just was not getting picked. So, okay, the first round goes. He wasn't picked to anyone in teams that desperately needed a quarterback. Then second round, he didn't go. And it's like, oh my God, because again, we were thinking he would go, first round, then third, fourth, and then finally fifth. At the latter portion of today during the NFL drafting time. So that was something within itself, is that the person that they thought would at least be probably top five, but at least would be, first or second quarterback off the board, which the board basically means, and I'm just speaking for those who may not watch sports like, or NFL drafts like that. Basically number one and number two to go. Okay. So that did not happen. Cam Ward, who was very deserving, went first, drafted to the Tennessee Titans. But the talk of the weekend, especially in regards to the NFL draft, has been on Shedeur Sanders. And it really, on one end, it cast a shadow of those who were drafted, right? Because it's such a phenomenal event. Basically, because these students, these college athletes have been training their whole life for this moment. But any sports news network talk, commentary, analyst, X, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, whatever your not streaming, but whatever your social media, Facebook sources are, the whole talk has been on why Shedeur Sanders not getting drafted. And that really cast a shadow on the rest of the draft. Now, there are so many different perspectives that I can take on this, but I'm just going to handle a few because I don't want to keep you here long. I don't like talking for long periods of time, so I won't keep you too long. I'll just hit on some of the major points. Going off of, and I'm going to straddle the fence and just kind of give you, a few different perspectives to try to be as non-biased. But I will say, yes, I do like the kid. I grew up kind of in the Deion Sanders era, so I understand just how phenomenal of a talent he was. And then to see his sons come in, and, it's great when you see, Parents passing the torch. Same thing with a parent or parents, perhaps owning a restaurant and then the kids come and take on, or, you look at what the Hiltons did, you know what I mean? It's just like the family business. So that was inspiring for me personally to see. Here's a different, here's a way to look at it. I understand that nobody likes cocky, brash, arrogant. This is what they're saying. I just think it's a little bit, I would say confident, perhaps overly confident, if that's the thing. But again, I like them. I like it. If you don't really believe and hold yourself to your, if you don't really have high self-esteem and you don't really love yourself, I think it's Lucy said this. She said, she said, you really have to love yourself to get anything done in this life. Lucille Ball said that, and it's a quote that really stuck with me. So I don't have any issues with him being confident, or what some people say overly confident / arrogant. Have no issues. You almost have to have that kind of belief in yourself to get to the elite levels of whatever that is, whatever your profession is. You really have to 100% believe in yourself. So many people were saying that it was that sense of arrogance that really turned the owners and the GMs, the coaches, whatever, turned them off, because it's like this guy thinks he's, the best thing since, sliced bread or since sliced avocado, I don't have an issue with that. Apparently, according to hearsay, they did. Another perspective to view is that there was a lot of talk about the NFL owners not particularly liking Deion Sanders, and if they draft Shedeur, are they going to have to deal with his, quote unquote cockiness, his brashness, his arrogance, him, trying to take over, trying to control this, or, some statements Deion Sanders made about he wasn't going to let his son Shedeur and Shiloh, or even Travis Hunter, go to some teams because some of them really didn't want to win, or some of them maybe were garbage or trash. And he's like, I'm not sending them over there. I'm going to give them great advice, which is what parents do. Parents set their children up to succeed. You want to see your children, your loved ones, in the best possible position. That's what you do, And if I know anything about something that you're getting ready to walk into, I'm going to give you the God honest truth. I'm going to say, hey, I think this is a brilliant idea. Hey, I don't think that's such a great idea. Or, things might kind of pan out over there. You got some pros and cons over there. That's what you do when you see somebody you love going into something that you have knowledge of. But that was some of the talk. Others were saying, well, he really wasn't that great. Which, again, if you look at the statistics that he put up, especially his 24 to 25, not even including his previous years at Jackson State University in Colorado, tells a very different story. But a lot of people were saying for the attitude or confidence that he has, it doesn't match his skills. Now, that I totally disagree. However, with point number one, him being cocky, arrogant, brash, entitled, as the Oregon coach said, playing for clicks, clicks generate money. And to my knowledge, the NFL owners, all of them, every single last one, even those with, joint ownership, are billionaires. Probably a few times over, right? Billionaires. They're not, to own an NFL team, you're not even in 100 million. It's your chances are like you're likely a billionaire, and or you haven't, investors maybe, and I haven't done the research on this to say that every one of the 32 NFL teams have one owner. Most of them do, but there may be like some, partnerships or joint ventures with 3 or 4, whatever this percentage may be, right? But every business, what I will say I know for a fact, every business that is not a nonprofit business is in business to make a profit. Every business that's not a nonprofit business is in business to make a profit. Clicks generates profits. Attention generates profits. Whether people they're watching because they like you or they're watching because they dislike you, profits. You're in the business to make money. Nobody's asking you to go, invite Shedeur Sanders to your home for your son's bar mitzvah or something. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he's like an employee. Not even like, he is an employee of your business. And you may not love the guy. You may not put him in your will. But if he's generating profit for your business, I see no issue. Shedeur Sanders, I've never seen him or even heard or read about him being into any type of troubles, any type of illegal troubles, right? Good kid, smart kid, high GPA, I think 3.7 or 3.9 GPA. Never hear about him, driving under the influence or being out, publicly intoxicated somewhere, using drugs, allegedly, how can I say this so that YouTube will not have an issue with it? You never hear about him touching things or taking things from women, if you know what I mean, from their body that does not belong or was not warranted or wanted. You never hear about those things. You hear about those things from other players or other teams or, perhaps even other celebrities. But I've never heard about that from him or about him. So the only press that he's generating that you don't like, allegedly and or apparently, is the fact that maybe he's a little bit cocky. Okay, I thought most people at the elite level in life, in anything, in any sports, any profession, you got to be a little bit cocky, just a little bit. Again, there's that self-belief. You got to believe in yourself 100% with no doubt. Confidence doesn't mean that you're not humble about it. It just means that I really have to believe in myself, and I have to have that driving force and no doubt, because much like animals, people sense weakness and people sense when you're not really being genuine about it. People sense when you have that false sense of ego, right? So what I think and again, some people say it's a knock to Dion. They don't want to deal with Dion, and if they draft, Shedeur, then they got to deal with Dion's presence, his energy, his whatever they don't like about him, his neon, what is it, primetime neon Dion. Don't want to deal with that. Pretty sure that as wonderful father as Deion Sanders is, he's going to have his hands full because he is a head coach of a college football team that's been propelled into the limelight by him and his sons over the last, getting ready to be 3 years. So I think he's kind of going to have his hands full. I don't think you're going to have to worry about that, right? Lastly, with Shedeur Sanders' name being all over the NFL draft, I, for one, I can only remember one time ever in my life outside of this, that I've watched the NFL draft. And that's when I had someone that I went to college with was entering the draft. So I was watching for them. Okay. I can guarantee you that this year's NFL draft has had some of the highest ratings, especially in recent years. I don't even have to look. I can tell you. Because when I looked through social media, it was all anyone was talking about. on day three. We're in round four through seven. That's unheard of. That is unprecedented. Who cares about a fifth round pick? After Shedeur Sanders didn't go first or second round, that should have been done so. We should have all moved on, with our weekend, But no, it was all the talk. So I can tell you, ratings went up. That means profits went up, especially for all these stations and all these broadcasters, content creators, podcasters. I'm definitely telling you now, Cleveland Browns, revenue stock going up. People are buying jerseys, and we don't even have his number yet. We're just, we're all, people are supporting the Browns out of nowhere now, right? So where do we go, or where does he go from here, right? So he's on the Browns, and yes, Deion Sanders' other son, Shedeur Sanders, was drafted as well as a free agent to Tampa Bay. A few other players from Colorado Buffaloes, they were drafted as well. So kudos to them. The Cleveland Browns quarterback room it's stacked. Shedeur is not, even though he's probably arguably the best quarterback that they have, he's not, he wasn't drafted as, number one or two. So he's not going to be starting unless something, shifts and changes with, camp and as the season progresses. I do know that their head quarterback, Deshaun Watson, last time I checked, had an Achilles issue. So basically what I'm saying is, to wrap it up, is that he'll probably more than likely have an opportunity to play. But regardless, people are going to be watching just to see. People are going to be watching just to see him succeed, and people are going to be watching just to see him fail. Regardless, people are going to be watching. And I'm telling you now, Cleveland Browns revenue and ratings when they play is going up. Jersey sales, all kind of Cleveland's Brown paraphernalia, it's going up. Guarantee you. And if he does have the opportunity to play and does well, I think the other, 30, and I would say 32, because 32 did pass him again. He was the fifth round, so Cleveland passed on him as well, but they just picked him up in the last bet. The other 31 teams are going to be looking, and I think you're going to kind of feel some sort of way, at least, that they did not grab him when they had the opportunity. It seemed like collusion. I could say that. For all of the teams passing on him, for the way that he played, in his college career, for the stats that he put up, for him to be so high in the draft, and then once the draft hits, he plummets down to fifth round, which is basically fifth. When anything past second round, once you get the third and on down, it's almost like, let's just start picking people. All right, just to fill up the seats in the room. Let's just, all right, who's left? Okay, let's get him. Okay, who else? We'll grab. That's kind of what those rounds are for. You want to be number one. If you can't be number one, you want to be number two. If you can't go around one, you definitely want to go to round two, right? So, but I think we're going to see some really great things again. I know for a fact that these ratings for the NFL Draft 2025 have been some of the best that they've seen in decades. I'm going to look that up. I can just about guarantee you that. Cleveland Brown stock going up. So we're going to watch this. We're going to stay posted on this. I won't do too much content on it unless it's warranted. I'm a bit of a sports fan, but I'm not a huge sports fan. Excuse me. And it's not a sports channel. So I don't want to bore you with that. For those of you who come to just kind of hear what I got to say on, trending topics and whatnot. But I might give this another go around. We'll see. You let me know how you feel about it. If you want to see more content on the Shedeur Sanders, Deion Sanders, the whole Colorado fiasco, if you will. I'll definitely post more videos on that. If that's what you want to see, let me know down in the comments, though. But I'm glad for him. Kudos to Shedeur, Shiloh, Sanders, and then Will Shepherd, Jimmy Horn Jr., LaJohntay Webster, BJ Green, and of course the awesome Heisman winner for 2024 to 2025, Travis Hunter over at Jacksonville Jaguars. Until then, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much.
They told me bust out my AP, perfect timing. Got them baguettes up on my neck, I stay shining.